All right, how you all doing today? We are going live. All right, I hope you all are doing good today. Social workers, it's so good to see you today. And we thank you for joining us on this week in supervision, where we discuss some of the things that I have talked about through the week for supervision. And I think that is helpful if you're in clinical practice or you're thinking about clinical practice. If you even with some test prep, we'll have a test prep question that we go over, and just things, just trying to enhance your learning and understanding how to work with clients. We're going to talk about that today. And we have a special topic today that I wanted to share with you. And we're talking about triggers. We're talking about triggers here, working with your clients that often have emotional triggers. What's going on in their world? What's going on in their mind? What's causing them to be dysregulated? And so our topic today is, what do triggers reveal about your client? There is something behind what you see. And as a clinician, we want to be able to read in between the lines concerning our clients. And I always talk about it's so important for us to have very little information, small bits of information, and be able to tell the story and understand the story, go into the depths of what has occurred with that client. We may not have the facts, but we should have insights that direct us to that client's experience. And we're going to teach you, we're going to show you how you can do that in an easy way today to get down to the bottom of it. But just before we do that, I do want to let you all know, if you're a member of Social Workers of Alabama, we want you to know that we have a training coming up for you soon. Okay. If you're a member of Social Workers Alabama, this training is free. It is open to the public for a small fee. But we do want to let you know about that, and that will be occurring later on this month. Later on this month, on June the 17th, and we are excited to have Nikki. We're happy to have Reverend Nikki Arnold coming to us. She's an LICSW with a ton of experience. She's spoken with the group before, and we're really excited about her coming to speak with us. And she'll be talking about understanding invisible wounds. We're getting into some trauma, focus on traumatic experiences. And I want you all also to be aware of a training, upcoming training that we have coming shortly. And this is a supervisor training. So if you're interested in being a supervisor, you can come to the funnel here and register on July the 28th. And we have a supervisor training. This is a way that you can start being independent if you're not already. And if you are already, this can add to your practice. And lastly, we have the DSM-5 TR training. We're going to be releasing in just a week or two, is what I'm counting on. Another or a more updated, a totally different training. So if you've already taken this one, we have another one for you that we'll be releasing shortly. All right, so let's get back to what we're talking about today. We're talking about triggers, right? And this is the thing. I get excited talking about this because triggers tell us so much about clients. And are you able to detail, like when you think about triggers, are you able to detail, or is there certain things that like if you see someone getting upset, what does that tell you about that person? As a psychoanalyst, are you able to kind of go deep in understanding that? Well, just before we jump into uh, some techniques that I want to share with you, I want to also um, share with you a test question. This is how we started off the group. All right. What do triggers reveal about your client? And what I try to do is bring something that's relative to what I'm about to talk about. And this is easier with ChatGPT because it ties right in to the storyline that we're getting into, right? And we're going to be showing some real video that brings this thing home, and it gets kind of emotional. But let's see. So this is the test question. A 35-year-old client allows her mother to live with her out of obligation. She doesn't really even want her there, but out of obligation, despite deeply resenting her. Thin line between resentment and hate. You're going to see it in this video. The client expresses guilt about her feelings and justifies the arrangement by saying, I just couldn't let her be homeless. She's still my mom. According to Freudian theory, which defense mechanism is most likely at play here? And so we went through that. What do you think it is? Is it denial? Is it reaction formation or reaction faking? Is it rationalization? Is it displacement? And what we do is we go through each one. Okay. So that we, even if we don't get the answer right, or whether we get it right or not, we know the answer to the rest of them. Okay. And so the answer for this one was C. And rationalization. What is rationalization? It's a Freudian term, use a defense mechanism, and basically what you're doing is just kind of you're in a sense explaining away your behavior, or explaining away behaviors or feelings that might impact you, right? And so in a sense you're bringing about justification for it. Okay. That's reaction. I mean, that's rationalization. But then I also asked them, what if the person was pretending as if they were in just so in love with their mother, and they, when they're with everybody, they're, even around the mom, they really just act like they're in love with them. But as it said, they actually resent the mom. Which of the four? And we asked the question, which of the four would that be? And I gave a little hint earlier. That would be reaction formation, or I call reaction faking, because actually you're showing, you're displaying or behaving in a way that's completely opposite of how you really feel. Okay. So that is very relevant. Okay. So I'm going to scroll down a little bit. And so the next question we want to ask is, what can triggers reveal about the client? This is what we're talking about today. What can triggers reveal about the client? And over the years, I have developed a way of understanding this. It's a technique I'll show you that I use that helps me to get to the bottom of better assessing my client, simply by them telling me what pisses them off. I'm sorry if that offends you, if you get pissed off about me saying that. But for people who, not all of my clients get pissed off. Some of them get irritated or frustrated. Some of them are just triggered. I come from a background of things, and so I resonate more with what pisses you off, because it's like that thing that really upsets you. But I also, just depending on the client, ask them, tell me what's the top three, what your top three triggers are. Okay. Because I can't always just express it that way. All right. And so we're asking them, what are your top three triggers? But why do we ask them? So this is what I did with the group really quickly. What I did with the group, I asked them, like, okay, triggers. Okay. What can triggers reveal about your client? And I got them to just kind of answer the question, and we got quite a few answers, but I had my own answers too. And so this is something that we should know. This is, for Freud called it psychic determinism. Okay, psychic determinism. In summary, what psychic determinism is that he's saying that the way that we act and respond in the world, with each other, it's not just something that just randomly happens. There is something that lies beneath. Okay, there is cause for this. So if you see someone getting upset, if you see that they're triggered, if they're pissed off, if they're acting out of character, there's something beneath that. And what Freud believed in, what I also personally believe, is that there's a story that we need to learn. So sometimes I believe that triggers, the things that upset the person the most, not just disturbs them, not just the things that disturbs them, but the things that really, really make them upset, tell us a lot about them. And from this information, just this little bit of data, we're able to determine a lot of times, or get a lead to understand what their core values are. We're able to understand about past traumas. Okay, able to understand about negative core beliefs. For instance, if someone gets triggered or pissed off because you said they're a liar, the reason that they're upset, there's context to that. As therapists, as analysts, as behavioralists, we have to get to the depths to understand that. Why is it that you were so bothered about someone saying that you was a liar? Okay, maybe because you have history with liars. Okay, you're disturbed by liars. Liars upset you. Okay, and so that's telling me something about a negative core belief that you might have about someone who lies. You might believe that someone who lies is a bad person. And many times that probably roots back to your caregivers, or your or your mother or father, okay, who lied to you. Okay. And so that's an example of how just through that we can understand negative core beliefs. It can tell you about some relational issues. It's like if you don't even know me and you're upset because I said ouch, then I couldn't imagine with someone who you're really in love with or have a deep relationship with or who matters to you, what happens when they upset you or say something that you don't like if you're this way about it. So it lets you know a little bit about how you this person might communicate, okay, with people when they are in disagreement. So that tells me you might have some problems in relationships, right? Fears and insecurities, self-perception, boundaries. Okay, we can't get into all of these. We broke this down in supervision. You have to come and check it out to find out more, right? But really quickly, I know I shouldn't don't have time to cover this, but our triggers are not someone who is triggered. It doesn't just matter when it happens, the situation happens to them personally. Someone who's triggered, a trigger response may arise also when a client witnesses something happening to someone else. So if someone else was being lied to and you see that your client states that they were upset about that, or you just see someone just in your natural habitat that just seems to get triggered about lies, well, it's probably telling you that there is history and context there, or they no, they get upset about seeing someone, witnessing someone being lied to. That means it's probably personal to them because of their personal experience. So look at all the data that we're getting just by seeing what upsets someone, what triggers them, what pisses them off. Okay. And then sometimes you can also see the same phenomenon when you observe someone who is being accused of being a liar. Well, that hits home too because I decided I was not going to be like my lying father or my lying mother, and then you calling me a liar, then okay, so these are a number of ways. And so we had this case scenario that we got to jump into really quickly because we're already pretty deep in. And so it's a 38-year-old woman named Denise. She presents for therapy, reporting long-lasting resentment and identity confusion. Denise, basically, I'm not even going to, because we don't have time. I'm going to show you Denise. Okay. Her name's not really Denise, but what I did was presented this scenario, and then I had the group to answer the question of what do you believe is Denise top emotional triggers. Okay, a lot of times we can get this information from the client, we can just ask them, but based on this scenario, we're going to see that Denise in this situation is being triggered by something. We can see that there are certain things that have upset her, that have made her be dysregulated. And so by observing the history with Denise, it's going to tell us context of some of the things that might actually impact her today. So based on this scenario, you could freeze it and use it yourself. And based on the scenario you see, what might you imagine would be triggers or things that might upset this person based on the context of their history. I don't want to hold this off any longer. We better just get to the video because we run out of time. My videos are always long, but let's go on and get to share here. And let's see, we want to share this one, and we're going to show you this video. Um, Courtesy of Iyanla. This was a really good one. And again, this is not based on therapy whatsoever, okay, because she's not a therapist. But there's some interesting things that might be learned from watching a real life experience from this particular. We're going to make it like she was our client, okay? So let me stop the share and make sure we got the sound. And yep, we do. And we're going to go on and push play. All right.
When does she stop being a mother and just be a woman in your mind?
The relationship where we were put in a home where that was abusive.
Is that where the heartbreak started?
Yes.
So I want to hear about it. And for every heartbreak, I want a pen. And I want you to go right back there.
Okay. My mom's first relationship was with my sister's dad, and I was led to believe that he was my father. And he was, in my eyes, until he moved away. And when that happened, I no longer had a father figure in my life.
And what was the heartbreak there?
Um, Not having daddy to come home to.
That's the term to be used too. I really like how that breaks things down, um, just so vividly. What was the heartbreak? Man, that right there is just gonna tug at the emotions of the client asking that question.
Yeah, that's hard for any little girl.
At the age of 33, Kim says she still has no idea who her real father is.
Okay. And then what happened?
Then she meets another man.
New man.
New man.
Okay.
At that point, I started seeing the separation from her being a mother to her being focused on men.
Okay. New man. What happened?
He would beat me. He would tell her
To beat
to
you.
beat me.
Wait a minute. Hold up. Hold the phone, Jesus. You're telling me that your mother brought a man into your home who would tell her to beat you, and she would do it?
She would do it.
Give me a pen. What did that feel like?
It was the most devastating feeling I ever experienced in my life.
So make believe I'm your mother and let it rip. Let it rip.
Mom,
Yeah.
how could you let a man come before your children? Do you realize what that caused inside of me today? He beat you. And you knew he did the same thing to us. My resentment is so strong that I have hatred towards you.
Wow. So I have to stop it. I'm sorry. A lot of times when we're getting a client where they need to go, they haven't been used to putting things to words. They may not have even known the depth of the emotion that they have been experiencing. Not even knowing that it's hate. And so it's something to let that come out your mouth. And if you let it come out, if the client lets it come out their mouth, we can't let that just slide by. We've got to understand context of it. So we want to ask, tell me more about that. You know what I'm saying? She said that she hates her mother. And so you'll see a little example of going a little bit deeper into the situation.
Who wants to say they hate their mother?
Give me a pen. Come on. Dig it deep. Tell me why. I hate my mother because.
That's the technique. I hate my mother because that's bringing out the emotion.
I hate my mother because she abandoned me.
Yeah.
I hate my mother because she's living in my house.
Yeah.
And now she only has me to depend on.
And I have to do for her what she didn't do for me.
I had to do for her what she damn sure didn't do for me.
Yeah.
I don't want my mother in my house around my children.
Yeah. She never told me who my daddy
Never
was.
told me who my father was.
And I still don't
And
know.
I still don't know.
And what does a little girl feel like when she doesn't even know who her daddy is?
Incomplete.
What does a grown woman feel like, beloved, when she doesn't know who her daddy is?
I don't know who I am.
Yeah.
And I hate my mother for that.
Yeah. Come here. Come here. You go ahead and cry. Yeah, you go ahead and cry.
Okay. So again, we're putting our primary focus um on the client if this was our client, not on what we're seeing with Iyanla. Um and so what we're being able to discover here is that this young lady had an experience. And what was her experience again? Her experience was that she was lied to about who her and so that's the thing too is afterwards, the question, well, actually after the scenario, I asked the question, what might be some things in this situation that might be triggers for this particular individual. Okay. And what we learn again is that some of the data that we get from understanding, watching this head on, what might be triggers for her is what is the untold story for when our client writes down what their top three triggers are, the top three things that pisses them off. We have to understand that there's a story behind that, and then we have to go seeking after the details of that story, understanding that it came from somewhere. So in this situation, I gave the scenario first and had them to present to me what it is you think that might be problematic for this woman. And then what is it we want to talk about right now? What is it that she actually experienced? Okay. So it was trauma that we, according to the aces, that she's acing out on a few things. She had physical and emotional abandonment. Oh, I gotta hurry up. She had physical and emotional abandonment, right? Her and what to top things off, her mother was not able to give her the support she needed because of her own emotional traumas and physical traumas. But then she thinks that this one person is her father, finds out that he's not. He abandons her, okay? And then, well, daggone it, I didn't know this wasn't my dad. So now I'm even traumatized even more to find out the man I thought was my father was not my father, and he left me. And now I'm also finding out that I have a biological father as well, who I still don't know who he is, and he wasn't anywhere around. That feels like abandonment as well. And then she was lied to. The point that I want to bring home is that in these situations, many times in these situations, the things that have happened to your clients in childhood carry over into their today relationships. So you may be able to bet money that, guess what? If this happened to her, if she has been lied to about something as significant as what she was lied to about, then she's going to have issues with people who lie or people lying to her. Okay. So that's something that you're going to want to keep in mind about your client, is that, you know what, my client may be sensitive. These are some things that we want to rule out. Okay. um um how do you feel that this client might respond if they're in a relationship and someone abandons them, or it feels like they're being abandoned? That's probably going to be a trigger, isn't it? Right. Okay. So learning these things ahead of time gives us context and insights onto how a guide on how to start to treat a client, especially the ones that aren't emotionally expressive or not verbally expressive. The ones in this situation, this woman says that she hates her mom. Why? Because she lost her identity in this process. She doesn't even know who she is. Some of my clients say, well, how can I find out who I am? I don't know who I am. Well, a lot of more information can be revealed to me about some of the things that you don't know about yourself than sometimes than what you do know about yourself. In other words, if you can tell me the things that you like, I don't know how much information I can give you about your trauma. But when you can tell me about the things that you don't like, now we can start learning about what you do like and what you need to be treated for. And this is what we find with the top three things that pisses me off. Lastly, we got to end it here. I've already done gone over. I mentioned that, hey, you know what? If we were to pick out three things that might be triggers for her: abandonment, being lied to, secrets, perhaps. We've been talking a lot about that over the past few weeks. And I said that it hits on these areas. Well, core beliefs. I really want you all to get this right. So core beliefs. So if someone who has been abandoned and it's a thing that's really a trigger for them, it's gonna tell us how does, I was saying, hey, this will be a revelation, knowing the top three things that might piss somebody off. Feelings of abandonment, that might piss me off. It might be worded differently, but that's telling me about that person who experienced abandonment, that there's likely a core belief for them likely is loyalty. Why? Because that's the inverse. That's the opposite of what abandonment is. So without them even telling us, we probably can bet money that they value loyalty, presence, consistency, reliability. We talked a little bit about this when we talked about emotional needs. Traumas, the trauma, we know what the trauma was. How about negative core beliefs? How can it tell us about the negative core belief? Well, this gives us a baseline to start asking questions and start to evaluate and rule things out that, you know what, a lot of times if someone has been abandoned and by everybody that's close to them, they may start to develop feelings of not feeling worthy or feeling like, hey, I'm not worth staying for. We've got to rule that out. Everyone leaves me. There's, they can become anxious. And then in the relationship impact. What's the relationship impact that we can learn from someone who's been abandoned? Well, we know that they're probably going to go one or two ways. They're going to be extra clingy or extra avoidant. It just depends on your attachment style. May fear intimacy. We learn about their fears. We know someone who has been abandoned may, if that's the top three thing that they list, then I know just right off the bat, there's a strong possibility that you may have fear of being alone, fear of being left, fear of being not important. Anyway, we got to stop here, and you could just go through this list here and see some other things. These are not going to be 100% dead on, but they're going to be in the ballpark. And see, these are some of the things we need to have in mind when we're processing our client. So much information can be given just knowing what upsets a person, or I probably won't be speaking like this as I get older, but what pisses people off. It tells you a lot about them, a lot about their situations, and can be a tool to help you successfully treat your client. I hope this has been helpful. We're going to come back next week, and we pray that it's going to be another great experience. Y'all take care now. Until next week. Bye-bye.